Okay, can you see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I want to start with speech making. Like this topic, I noticed that I've not taught you guys, and it's almost all in all diets, like almost. That's why I say I have to actually teach you guys on this speech making. Almost, there's really a diet you will not see speech making. Most times it's always occurring. I will send you guys the past question that I saw. It's inside March 2021, September 2022, September 2020, March 2019, March 2018, March 2015, September 2016. Like there was even a diet that they asked speech making twice. That was in 2016. Twice. Question 4 and question 2. So if you don't know speech making at all, like you don't even have a choice than to answer the minute that is available. It's better to be on the safer side. So let's start. Firstly, what is a speech? According to here, speech is an act of disseminating information verbally. It is more advanced than merely talking. So when you talk about speech, you know that speech is when you are talking, right? But it is not only talking, because you can be talking and you can be saying something that is relevant and something that is not relevant. When it comes to speech making, you are passing information, and it's more than talking. Speech is formal. Speech, there is a structure for speech. You don't just talk anyhow. You don't just write speech anyhow. Even when the delivery is based on a written text, the aspect of presentation that concern us here is the means of delivery, that is the verbal mode. In this chapter, elements of speech delivery are identified and the place of virtual oral presentation is highlighted. So these are going to tell us the method of speech delivery. And I've even taught you guys this thing before, virtual aids. I think I taught it around last year when you were very around. I talked about some processes or speeches. I talked about intonation. I talked about accent, all those things. I'm even repeating it in this same chapter. But I thought you guys should you just brief it, then you guys will go and read it. So let's go to element of speech making. They ask this question, please. There are only three, see, elements. We have four elements, see. So when they say element, also means characteristic, that is what the speech must contain. These are the criteria that when we see your speech, that we know that your speech is good. So appropriateness, clarity, adequacy, and fluency. Appropriateness, clarity, adequacy, and fluency. So let's do it one by one. So for the appropriateness, it's just simple. Normal simple term, you know. You say appropriateness will be defined as the provision of a requirement in the dosage or amount expected in a given situation. So when this is something is appropriate, you are giving the quality information that you need in that particular period. You are giving the appropriate measure of information that is required. You are not going outside the box. You are not going abstract to what you were given to present. They gave you to present to make a speech on farewell of the principal. You are not to put in farewell for the teachers inclusive. And giving adequate information that is measurable as at when needed and is through the necessary channels. So see what they said here. For instance, even when the source is clear, is it appropriate? Is it appropriate on this occasion? Or when the decoding is adequate, is it appropriate on this occasion? You know that the particular occasion was designed for the speech you want to make. So you're not making another speech. Is it really appropriate? Is it the essence of this occasion? So that's what we call appropriateness. It must be exactly what it is meant for the occasion that you are giving in. The second one, which is clarity. It says, from even the word clarity, you know that it means being clear. Like you are not being rigorous. Let's put it that way. It's not that you're speaking big grammar that will confuse everybody, or you're speaking in a language, or you're putting sentences together that makes it complicated for the viewers. I'm sure that when you want to make speech, you know people that are making it too. You know their level of comprehension. You know what they understand, what they do not understand. So that's where the clarity, what is simple to this person might be complicated to another person. I'm sure you agree with me. So this is what clarity is. It said, as a feature of oral presentation may be viewed from two different perspectives. On one hand, language choice and use, the way you use your language. On the other hand, the message. As far as language choice is concerned, the oral presenter must ensure that his or her competence in the chosen language is unquestionable and that he or she is able to function very well in it. So there are two things to consider for this clarity. We will consider number one, language, and number two, message. The language choice you must use, for example, you are speaking to people that does not understand Yoruba, and you are speaking Yoruba to them. Number one, it can never be clear to them because your language choice is questionable. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, ma.
Okay, can you hear me? Okay, that's fine. So as far as the choice, I said number one is the language choice, and number two is I'm talking about the message itself. Number one, language choice. I was like, you cannot be speaking to people that does not understand Yoruba and speaking Yoruba to them. The language is questionable. That's why they said the chosen language should be unquestionable. Number two, the message. The message you are passing, you are making it so complicated. You know that the grammar you are making is so complicated, they will not understand it easily. You know, there are some people that there is a way that some people will talk and they're already confusing you, like they're already confusing everything they want to say, like be confused. Something they can say in simple terms. And hope you know that it's not everybody that can teach. It's not everybody. There are some people that will be it's not teaching, they'll just be lecturing. It's as if they're reading books offhand. So all those type, I'm sure you'll have met one of those two of those people too. So that is clarity. The third one is adequacy. Adequacy is a measure of sufficiency. 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 When you talk about sufficiency, it means that is this enough? In speech delivery, the adequacy of the preparation, delivery, and feedback comes into play. There should be no shortfall, neither there should be an oversupply in the quantity of each contributory factor to the overall communication process. Adequacy in terms of coverage, that is setting goals and achieving them, and time. So what this is telling us is adequacy is talking about how much you have prepared, how you delivered it, and the feedback you got from it being adequate. So in terms of your goal, how do you achieve them? In terms of time, how adequate is the time? Are you using your time? Is it within the time frame that you were given? So all those things are very important. And the last one is fluency. It says fluency is a measure of the rate of flow, the rate of flow. Inconsistent the rate of flow of speech signals break in transmission. And who likes to listen to disconnect speech? For example, you are making a speech and you just forgot something. What did I press? You forgot something. I say my name is Abolari Bolatife. I come from so I said that and I say sorry. I come from I come from Lagos State. I'm an indigenous of sorry to skip that. I mean, I'm an indigenous of like who likes listening to a disconnected speech? Nobody. So you have to be consistent with your flow. He said connecting the new information to the old, inconclusive one may be hard on the listener who may have been forced to swim in ignorance for some time. To maintain a smooth ride, for the train of thought of both speakers and audience. Therefore, delivery should be vivid and smooth rather than prompt. So when you are making the delivery, it should be very smooth. The flow should go well. It should be very smooth when making it. There should not be a break in signal. There should not be a situation that you forgot something. You are skipping an information that is important. So that is the characteristics or essence of a speech making. So about the use of visual aid in speech delivery, I've taught you guys. I've taught you about visual aid. I taught you about types and examples of visual aid in my previous classes. So go and check them. So, we are talking about speech. The first explanation I made is speech. I said speech is more than talking, it's a formal process of passing information formally. Now, under speech, we have speech making and we have speech writing. Hope you know that it's not oral speech. You want to go and speak in the exam. You are not doing oral, you are doing written. So we are going to know what speech making is, and from there we're now going to know what speech writing is, how we can make that speech, that normal speech that someone will say with their mouth, how can we put it in writing? That is even the main essence of this class. But first we have to know what is speech making. So yeah, it says speech making may be classified as either closed or public, whereas the former is less formal. So the public one is less formal. There is no rigorous rules that is backing it up. This is how you must arrange it. This is how you must. I will show you guys format of speech making. There is a format. So now I said the latter is very much. So now look at it. Both to see, you see, they said the former is what? Less formal. They did not say it's not formal at all. It is less formal. So both of them are still formal. It's just that one is less and one is much. And the latter is what? Is very much. So in closed speech making, the audience is usually limited to a few individuals who are reasonably familiar with one another. So that is why this closed one, because you are with people that are familiar with one another, is less formal. It said a speech at the family dinner, cabinet, or board of meeting may be regarded as closed. Even when made at the public forum, a speech may still be considered closed. So there's some speech that are public, like people that you know, but still they can be recognized as what? As closed. That's what they're trying to say. So we are going to solve a past question to know. Firstly, I want us in this pack, they did not give us the format of speech, but I'm going to show you. There was a diet they asked about format of speech, but students got it wrong. They were preparing speech. Is anyone talking? Is anyone talking? Okay, I guess that is a mistake. So as I was saying, there's a past question that they were asking about to prepare outline, that is format to prepare speech. But what the students do, so they were writing speech. So, and it's because I think most people, because they did not see this question, did not see the outline in the pack, so they assume they're not to read it. That is why past question, even though you saw some things in past question and it's not in the pack, your duty is to read it, even though. That is why we are going to treat it. Don't worry about it. You might not see in the pack. That is why you're in class, so that you get additional information that you might not see anywhere. That's how you are here to get it. So let's go to speech writing. So at the end of this class, we are going to treat it. So speech writing is an act of putting the oral presentation into a written form. I told you guys that speech is divided into two. Speech making and speech writing. Speech making is when you are delivering a speech with the use of mouth. But when you talk about speech writing, we are converting this oral word on this speech making into a written form. That's what they are saying here. So majorly in this class, we are not dealing with speech making orally, which we will be speaking, because in the exam you will not be speaking, of course, you will not be saying speech. You have to write it as how you will say it, the same way you will write it. So they now said here, speech writing is an act of putting an oral presentation into a written form. Hear me? Hello, can anyone hear me? Hello.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I got disconnected. I think network. That's what I'm trying to confirm. Please, if I ask if anyone can hear me, please respond. Yes. So let me reshare my screen. Ó ti dé o, ó ti dé, ó ti dé, kò tí ì rọ̀. Who is cooking? Who is cooking? Ó ti rọ̀. Hello, please mute your mic. Oúnjẹ ti jiná. Is that Kayode? Okay, thank you. So let's proceed. Some people are hungry. Hey, God, oh. Let the food reach us, so let it reach us, please. So as I was saying, speech making is the act of putting oral presentation into a written form. Please, at any point, if you cannot hear me, at any point, please send message to the chat box. If you cannot hear me and I'm speaking, but I'll be asking time to time. So it said, as an act, it demands specific skills to be successful. It is indeed believed to be more demanding than its sister activities, speech making. See, can you see? They are even calling them sister. So speech making and speech writing, they are sisters. That because it's the same thing you are doing. You are making the same speech. The only thing that makes it different is speech making is oral through word of mouth. Speech writing, you are just putting the same thing you will say real life. You are just putting it into writing. That is all. So that is all. Just saying about speech writing. So now we have some classification of speech making. He said it is pertinent to note at this junction that speech writing may be personal or professional. Speech making may be personal or professional. So we are classifying speech making into two. Number one, personal. It says in personal speech making, the one going to deliver a speech takes it upon himself or herself to write the speech. Can you see? It's like personal letter. When you're writing letter, this one means personal speech. You yourself, you are the one going to deliver it. They said what? Let's repeat again. The one going to deliver the speech, a speech, take it upon himself and decide to write the speech. The major advantage for this approach is that it is much easier to read what one has read than what someone else has written. So what this is saying that personal speech making, you are just writing it for yourself. You are writing it for yourself. But when it comes to professional, some people are making speech and they're not writing it, like they did not write it for themselves. Like it says here, professional speech making. Some people earn a living by what? Writing speeches. They they didn't, like, I can be making a speech right now and I'm not the one that wrote it. That's what professional is. But personal means that I'm the one that wrote the speech, I'm the one presenting the speech. When it comes to professional, the speech you are presenting is written by someone that you paid to write it. That is what happens to, we used to hear all this president speech, governor speech. They are not the one that wrote it. Hope you guys know. There are some people that have been elected, some professionals that have been elected to write those speech for them. The only thing they do is just to read it. That is all. So that type of speech that is made by governor, president, those people in political posts, those higher posts, is called professional speech. It's not personal. So they said, in principle, the professional writer knows the nature of the appropriate text for each occasion, when to throw in a joke, when to present statistical evidence, when to tell a story, how long, etc. In practice, however, it is not easy to accurately predict these often delicate matters. So that's what professional speech is. Please, if you have any question at any point in time, let me know before I go far. Let me know. So the next one we have here is speech delivery method. Please, and please, they ask this question very well. If they ask this speech, I repeat, they ask this speech delivery method. Sorry, if you are not talking to me, mute your mic. Thank you. So as I was saying, speech delivery method, they ask very well. I can show you like 3 past questions, 4, 5, that they will ask this speech delivery methods. So read it, please. And know it. Don't just know the listing, know it detailed. Know it detailed. They are saying the method in which you can deliver a speech. Number 1 is impromptu. I know from the word, they said impromptu speech. I know from the word impromptu. You know what it is. So can anybody tell me what impromptu is? Whenever they say there is impromptu meeting, any idea? Anybody? I'm sure we've heard about impromptu before.
Yes, it's like a meeting
Okay.
you're not prepared for.
Okay, that like emergency.
Yes.
That thing has happened to me before. How did it happen? Say, I'm sure it has happened to people many times. What you are not prepared for, they just called you, do this. So there are sometimes that I was to take a class. I'm not even the one supposed to take a class, but because the tutor is not around, so I have to take it, and I was not prepared for it. So I have to quickly what? I have to quickly sharply prepare for it. That is impromptu, something you are not prepared for. That's why they say that impromptu is the presentation of a short message without advanced preparation. Impromptu speeches often occur when someone is asked to say a few words or give a toast on a special occasion. You have properly done impromptu speech many times in informal conversational setting. So self-introduction in group settings an example of impromptu. Yes. See, this is a good example. Self-introduction. Maybe you are meeting with few friends or few colleagues. They just said, introduce yourself. That is also impromptu. You might see it as a normal thing that is not impromptu, but they did not tell you before. They just said, normal thing now, introduce yourself. It's still impromptu. You have to gather your thoughts. My name is this, even though you know what to say, but you still have to gather your thoughts together. So an impromptu speech is generally most successful when it is brief when they give you impromptu self, you know that say it has to be brief. If it's too much, you might be saying another thing because you are not prepared for it. So when it is briefed, focus on a single point. Now note, a step-by-step guide that may be useful if you are called upon to give impromptu speech. This is the step that will be useful if you are called upon to give impromptu speech. Number one, take a moment to collect your thoughts and plan the main point you want to make. Maybe you are, it's not, it's not about you making speech alone. Know it for exam purpose. In your mind, you might be thinking that they said in case you want to do impromptu. I know they're telling you for future sake, maybe later in the future. But also for this exam, they're just telling you directly, just know it for the exam. That's what they're saying. I saw a past question that they asked impromptu and they asked you to explain it. 5 marks. I'm sure it's not only definition you will give for 5 marks. After giving the definition inclusive, put these steps to help you in whatever you want to say. So A says, take a moment to collect your thoughts and plan the main point you want to make. All the thoughts is impromptu. That's why I said you have to gather your, even self-introduction alone, you have to gather your thoughts together. So you have to collect all your thoughts and plan the main point you want to make. That is one. Two, you have to thank the person that invited you to speak. It's very important. You will see an example in this class, and you will see you have to appreciate the person that invited you to give this speech in the beginning and at the end. That is important. C, deliver your message, making your main point as brief as you can, while you still covering it adequate and at a pace your listener can follow. So you have to deliver your message brief. And don't be too fast that your listener will not even hear everything, you not even hear the main point of what you want to say. But make it brief and steady. That's why they said at a pace your listener can follow. Then D, thank the person again. Can you see? I was telling you guys that you will thank the person at the beginning and the end. See what I'm saying? We thank the person for inviting you to the speech one. We thank the person again for the opportunity to speak. That is during when you want to close. And the last one is stop talking. Of course, you cannot talk to tomorrow now. Where are we? Of course, you cannot keep on talking. You have to end it. So that is that on impromptu. That is one method. Number two method is extemporaneous speech. Extemporaneous speaking is the presentation of a careful, planned, and rehearsed speech. You know, it's just like a manuscript, like a script that they used to act. Like they've already planned it, they've already react. You want to make a speech, you've already planned, you've already crammed. This is what I will say. I will tell them this, I will tell them that. Like you've already react, everything is planned. It's opposite impromptu. You know, impromptu, you were not prepared. So which means that this extemporaneous speech will be a little bit longer than impromptu because you're actually prepared for it. So that is to say, rehearsed speech spoken in a conventional manner using brief notes. Okay, using brief notes. So by using notes rather than a full manuscript. So the extemporaneous speaker can establish and maintain eye contact with the audience and assess how well they understood the speech as it progressed. Speaking extemporaneously has some advantage. So it promotes the likelihood that you, the speaker, will be perceived as knowledge and credible. In addition, your audience is likely to pay attention to the message because it is engaging both verbally and non-verbally. Actually, you are more prepared for this type of speech. So what you say it must be more engaging than just impromptu because you are prepared. This one too is brief. It's not a full manuscript that you'll be writing story to the end. So, but this one is well prepared, you rehearsed for it, you planned it out. And the advantage is that it is more engaging verbally and non verbally because people will pay attention to what you prepared for, you adequately prepared for. So that is why they specifically said what by using notes rather than a full manuscript. Note misses. Manuscript is something that is long. So please note that. Another one we have is speaking from a manuscript. No, that is more like talking against that one. That one is talking about notes. This one is talking about manuscript. The speaking for manuscript is the word for word iteration of the written message. In a manuscript speech, manuscript, for example, what is it that used to add drama? They give the manuscript. They have to know what they want to say in the character, word for word. That is the same thing for this manuscript. The speaker maintains his or her attention on the printed page, except when using visual aid. The advantage to reading from manuscript is the exact repetition of the original word. What did they say? Advantage is that you will repeat the exact original. What is that manuscript? That's what you're expected to repeat. So that is the advantage. There is no complicated or anything that you will not be able to understand. And we are speaking from memory. Of course, someone crams something. That is someone memorize something. That's what is implying. It says memorized speaking is the rote recitation of a written message that the speaker has memorized to memory. Actors, of course, recite from memory whenever they perform from a script in a stage play or movie. When it comes to speeches, memorization can be useful when the message needs to be exact and speaker doesn't want to be confined by notes. So speaking from memory is when you memorize something. You are not with the book. You have to say it. It's just when actors, after rehearsing the acting movie, of course, there's no book in front of them. It's what they cram that they actually say out. That is a good and perfect example for it. So those are the methods of speech making. So let's go to the principle of effective speech making. So we have few principles you must consider when making the speech. Few examples of those principles is use of gesture, your vocal resources, your posture, your sitting setting, your woman, the way you structure your speech to your audio or virtual aid. So we'll just go into them. Number one is use of gesture. Gesture complement the word of mouth. Gesture could be used as illustrators, initiators, and facilitators of speech. A speaker is advised to use diverse and appropriate gestures such as non-verbal complement along with facial expressions to highlighting the expressive nature of the speech and communicate effectively. So when you're talking about gesture, it's talking about the way you express something. Your most importantly, your facial expression. Yes, that's what they said. And when you're giving your speech, appropriate gesture must be given. It's not that when you're giving your speech, you're now being like someone that is sadist. They will change that to that stage. But if you are being cheerful, the way you smile, the way you illustrate, is in non-verbal gestures. The way you smile, the way you raise your hand, the way you show them. We actually show this. It helps you to communicate effectively. So as you are speaking, the way you demonstrate, the way your face is showing, the way your body system is moving with the speech, it helps people to communicate. Another one, use of vocal resources. An effective speaker would make use of vocal resources at his disposal. Resources such as tempo and rhythms of voice, pitch of voice, volume of voice should be varied and tailored to the message and the event. When you are speaking at the same time, you have to know your rhythm of voice, how you talk. You cannot be giving a speech and your voice, nobody will hear your voice. I mean, it's only people in front that will hear your voice. Some people, it as bad as when they give some people mic, everybody will not still hear that voice. So when it comes to your voice, when it comes to the way you speak, there's a particular way you should speak. You have to watch your accent. You have to watch your intonation. I've taught you guys all this. You have to watch your accent, your intonation, your speech. You have to watch your voice, the rhythms of your voice. You have to with the volume. You must speak out loud and clear. So that is what they call use of vocal resources. All these things, because everything you are saying is tailored to the message you're giving. So any little wrong use of vocal resources can lead to another wrong impression of the message. So that is use of vocal resources. Another one is posture. The posture of the speaker matters. The speaker must maintain erect posture. The posture of the speaker has a way of contributing significantly to the impression the audience forms of a speaker. It is very important that the speaker should maintain a posture that would encourage the audience to have positive impression of him as someone that deserves to be heard. So the posture is talking about the way you present yourself. For example, let me just give one example. Example is, for example, if you are in an interview, for example, the way you sit matters. You cannot be crossing leg. You have to sit very well. If you just enter an interview or you are not to just sit, you have to wait for them to ask you to sit. So these are the like small things you have to know. And also this, how you place yourself, how you stand, how you sit. So these are the posture you have to place yourself in. The fourth one is right setting. It says when the speaker has an input into the choice of venue that is appropriate, the speaker should choose a venue that is appropriate. So when you talk about right setting, it's actually majorly talking about the venue of your speech. Is it appropriate? You want to talk to someone about a business contract, you went to parties to give him a business contract to convince him, is that the right place? So you have to look for the right venue to deliver your speech. It should be a venue where the audience will not be in any words, any form of discomfort. So it must be where there will not be any form of discomfort. It must be appropriate. As I said, it should also be a venue whose location is appropriate in the sense that noise level in the environment is low. Another environmental factor are conducive to speech delivery. So you cannot be presenting speech in a place that is so noisy. What do they even want to hear? There's nothing they want to hear. And the last one, use of more. An effective speaker, even second to the last, I guess. Still have three more. Okay. An effective speaker insert humor into the speech. He must use light humor in a way that it will not be distracting. Light humor introduce a form of entertainment which serves to elicit the interest of the audience in the topic and speech. In using humor, however, the speaker should limit it so that it is not overused. So when you talk about humor, it's talking about the way you say something that are funny. You know, there are some people that will be giving speech and you'll be enjoying it because they are chipping in some particular jokes that you like. The way that they make you smile, the way they say something that is funny, something that is playful, something that some people, because there are a lot of speeches that you cannot be just be serious all through. It will be boring. But when you insert some humor there, insert something that is funny, something that is comical, something that is amusing. So definitely, if it's a bad mood, the atmosphere will change to a good mood. So that's what he's talking about. The next one here is structuring the speech. The next one is structuring the speech. It is important that the speaker structure his speech properly. The speech should have the introduction. See, I will let you guys see the format later. What they call it? Introduction, body, conclusion. That is the order. Introduction, body, conclusion. It's not that you start body first without introducing. It's not that you start conclusion before body. That the speech will be an effective speech if it has a very strong and interesting introduction. The body should contain the heart of the topic. Of course, the body must talk about the main essence of the topic, illustrated with examples. So when you're giving the body to, you must back it up with examples. It's very important. Formula with internal connectives. Why conclusion must be a short, powerful summary of the discourse. Another one is use of audio and visual aids. I've taught you guys. They said audio aids such as public address system. All those oh, you guys know public address system. Public address system is all those speaker that they used to carry. They used to carry that's comfortable to carry with hands. It's public address system. So you can use that when delivering your speech. Or another one is the visual one is like overhead projector that people can see to maybe bigger screen so that people can be seeing it as you are saying it. It made the communication more effective. So that is the use of audio and visual aid. So let's go briefly. Important of speech futures. I'm not supposed to treat you guys because we have done this. We did it last year, November, December. So if you're actually reading your books and all, you'll be able to be familiar with this. Importance of speech. Please go and read it very when you get home. Importance of speech futures to master. These are the things. I talked about the accent before. The accent is talking about the syllable, the way you stress your pitch, the vocabulary you are using. That's what it's talking about. I talk about the pronunciation, the way you speak words. It's not that people will hear your word and they will say it's ugly. You hear them say this one sounds like someone that is from place we don't know. And I talk about enunciation. Enunciation is talking about the sound of your speech. Sound of your speech. You're not supposed to be speaking. I saw a video today about someone speaking French, and the French is sounding like Spanish. Oh no. Another one is intonation. It's talking about the measure of proportion of the switch when it comes to your voice, rise and fall in your voice. You are not just to speak high now and the next you speak low. I think someone that lacks motivation. And the last one is projection. Being able to raise your volume when you are speaking, be able to talk louder, so that the audience will hear you clear and they will understand you. That's what it's talking about. And we have, I think it's the last subheading, then we'll go to past question. I'm even more concerned about the past question. Then we have features of a good speech. So from here it says, oral communication is the oldest and most widely used medium of communication. Of course, oral communication is more to speak. Oral communication is the oldest, as I was saying, and it said it can take place in different form, shape. Speech is one of them. Speech is generally the most effective medium of delivering the message in meetings, seminars, conferences, etc. So I'm talking about the features of a good speech. So let's go to the features of a good speech. Number one says clarity. Clarity. It says clarity is an essential. We've talked about it before. These are features of a good speech. A speech should be clear, unambiguous, so that the audience can understand it easily. If it is not clear enough to express its meaning to the audience, it will be ineffective. So you must be clear enough when delivering your speech. You must be clear enough when delivering your speech. That's what it's saying. The second one is the definite message. The message of the speech should be definite and relevant. So I've said it before that when you are delivering a speech, make sure that it is relevant. It is the topic of the subject. It's the subject matter you want to talk on. What we say that you should talk on. That's what you should talk on. Don't diverse. Don't go and talk about anything abstract. And conciseness. The audience becomes impatient with the long speech, and speech should be concise. That is, it should be moderate, as moderate as possible. Don't go and give us a full higher education for what? Long enough to cover the subject matter. Just make it straight to the point. Make sure that it is actually more concerns. Don't make it too rigorously long. Even if it's long, make sure that you are hitting the point. That's what it's saying. Interesting. A speech should be delivered in an interesting and pleasing way. So that's why you have to put humor there. So that you put some funny things that will make the audience feel lively. So that they'll be motivated to pay attention. See what they put here. In order to make the speech interesting, various let me that is not various anecdotes, example, quotation, and jokes can be injected. Can you see? Can inject jokes to it. Life is not hard, but don't make the jokes too much. Let's not look like you're serious. Another one is audience. Speech is delivered to a specific audience, so the speaker should actively consider the expectations, interests, and nature of the audience. So it is very important. You have to consider the audience. No people, you have to study the people you are talking to. You know, if you are talking to primary school students, it's different from when you are talking to a university student. There are some English you can tell university students that primary school students will not understand. So you have to study them. These people are in a business world. These people are in technology world. It's different. The way you speak to Nigeria is different from the way you speak to American, because we have different mindsets. As opposed to with American, I will say that as normal, but Nigeria will say that no, this one is this we don't do it here. It's different. So you have to study your audience. It's part of the characteristics. Another one is speaking slowly. An ideal speech is one in which it delivers slowly and in a usual tone. Slowly does not mean that it has to be very slow and everybody will be doing like snail. That's why they put an usual tone. It helps the audience to hear and understand the message clearly. So even though it is slow, they are trying to explain that you should make it slow in such a way that people will understand it. People will hear. It's not that you are now rushing as if there is hot pepper soup in your mouth. That's what it's saying. That's what it's saying. So another thing from here is free from emotions. Another important features of a good speech is that it should be delivered in an unbiased and unemotional way. Speaker's emotion may drive him away from the main theme. So what is talking about is that you must talk in a way that is unbiased, that it's not that your emotions that is controlling you. You must not support. If we are talking about in our politics world, some people support this, some people support that. So if you not support this and your audience are a mixture of the two political parties, it means that you are being biased. So you should make sure your speech, that your speech is supporting both of them, or speech is not even talking about them at all. That is more reason why you have to study your audience. So another one is use of body language. Yeah, this is like the gesture that we're talking about, non-verbal clues, the way you raise your hand, the way you smile, your facial expression, and all. Another one is audience participation, is more linked to the audience. After you study the audience, make sure that the audience are participating. If they're not participating, that's why you need feedback the more. Ask questions. Are they hearing you? So we have others like interesting opening remarks. Your introduction must be catchy. Your opening remarks must be catchy. So that is what it's saying. So I want us to go to, we're actually done. I don't want to waste our time. I want us to go to an example. I want us to go to format. Format. If you notice, we're not giving format in this in this park. There was no format for speech. Hello, Martins. It's only you that is on this call. Can you hear me?
Is this the second person that lives? Times.
She was there. The network, it has been like twice now that she logged in, she logged out. The network was just throwing her as she was entering. Network was throwing her out. So that is
Network
why.
is draining here.
Okay, is network good in your side?
It's not too good. It's raining, so but it's fine now.
That is why. Even the sky itself is not really good. Yesterday, I was having issues with network throughout yesterday. I had a class online. I could not take the class. Network was just doing anyhow. Okay, read this question one.
I should read it.
Yes, ma'am.
I should in my mind or out.
What are you saying?
Okay.
Read yo.
As the outgoing president of a professional association,
Mhm.
a send-off ceremony was organized in your honor by the newly inaugurated executive members of the association. Write the outline of a 10-minute farewell speech to be presented by you during the occasion. 15
Okay.
marks.
Okay. What do you think they asked you to do?
Like sweet too.
What do you think they asked you to do?
Like you should give an outline of how your farewell speech should be, like an outline how it should be.
So how can you describe? Okay, how can you describe an outline? Give me another word to describe that.
A format.
Exactly. Good. This question, let me tell you, this question is simple, but students failed it. Like we read the remark together. This is March 2018, question 1. Apart from the compulsory, no, the compulsory question does not have the question number. It's still question 1, but this one is question 1. They said, as the outgoing president of your professional association, so you imagine yourself as an outgoing president. So as you are now, Martin, you are a president. Just imagine, it's imagination. When you as you are now, you are president. So yes, example, you imagine yourself in this shoe. So you are an outgoing president. So a set forth was organized in your honor by the newly inaugurated executive member of the association. Write the outline of 10 minutes farewell speech to be presented by you during the occasion. So you are the outgoing president. So you want to present a speech to say to your people, already going you. So what they're asking you to do, you see, if you don't read the question very well, yeah, you will miss it. They said, well, write the outline. There's not some people, most people were writing speech itself. They're writing the speech already. We have scholars. Don't rush. Read it very well. Don't read the question once, read it twice. So let's go to the answers. So your pack, there is no format in your pack. That's why I have to bring this question. So look at the format here. So he who has screenshots should screenshots. If we can write before we move on, should write, but there isn't even time to write. But screenshot this, note this. This question is March 2018, question 1. Write it down so that if you cannot write everything, when you're on your own, you write it. March 2018, question 1. This is the format of a speech. This is how a speech should be. That is well done. You're writing on my screen. I don't know what I pressed. 2016 March. Oh, this is another March. So this is it. So the first thing, outline, is talking about format. So the first thing is heading of the farewell speech. Heading. Know this and know peace. Know these 4 items for speech making. I repeat, speech making, they ask this question almost every diet. I will give you the years they've asked. They've asked in March 2021, September 2022, September 2020, March 2019, September 2016, March 2018, March 2015. I just asking almost every diet. There was even a diet that they asked twice. So if you don't even know it, you already Jones. So please know this format and know peace. The first one is heading of the farewell speech. So when you're talking about the heading, this is what it must include. It must include the title of the speech. We are still going to go to a sample of a speech making. So you guys will see it. Example of speech making. The speech made they've written, someone wrote, you will see it, you will see all these things. The first one says what? Heading. The heading will include the title of that speech. Number one, the title of the speech. Number two, the name of the speaker. Who is speaking it? You say you're an outgoing president. So this is how you are going to give them. You are not to write any speech or whatsoever. That is not what they ask you to do. They are just to put it format like, and they said 10 minutes. So if you are talking in 10 minutes, you know that this is actually enough. So title, name of the speaker, occasion, venue, date, and introduction as what? Protocol. Witty saying to catch attention. Witty saying is like, I just make it some lines. So there's something that is funny or something that is catchy for you to catch the audience attention. So another one, purpose of gathering. Purpose of the gathering. What is the main purpose? I'm just going to say it briefly. You have not even gone to the body yet. So C says body of the speech. Body of the speech. We have events leading to the election as president, gratitude for the period spent as president, challenges faced, achievement, mention of individual who contribute to the achievement. You are linking it to the question because you're an outcome president, you are going already, so you have to link it to the question. Hopes and expectation about the association. Then the last part, which is conclusion. You have to appreciate, like you see that there are like 2 times that you're appreciating. So that is it. Before you start this thing, you have to appreciate. Then when you want to end, you have to appreciate. So for the conclusion, they said appreciation for the honor done to the speaker and for those who graced the occasion. Advice to the new executive on how to move the association forward. So the last part, you actually give honor to them, to thank them, and you give advice. You give advice. That advice too is important on how to move the association forward. So Moyolu, I want you to read this examiner's report. Yeah, read it out loud. Moyolu, are you here?
Ma?
Read this examiner's report.
Okay, ma.
Make sure you pay attention as you're reading it yourself.
Yes, ma. This question tested candidates' knowledge on writing outline in easy writing. About 30% of the candidates attempted the question. The performance was woeful as less than 2% of them scored 50% and above of the allocated marks. Candidates' shortcoming was their inability to understand what an outline is, as majority of them wrote speeches instead of outlines. For better performance in subsequent examinations, candidates should 1. Learn how to write outline. 2. Endeavor to understand what a question demands before attempting it. Then 3, make use of ICAN study text, past questions, and model answers.
Okay, thank you. So the first thing you will see is that they said about 30% of the candidates attempted. See how people ran away from it. People ran away like run, run. 30% attempted, the remaining 70% did not attempt. She now said again that the performance was woeful, like it was bad. Less than 2% of them scored 50. Imagine, less than 2%. Maybe it's one person that even scored 50 and above. Less than 2%. Okay, if you don't know what it is, let's say 2%. Let's assume that the candidate are ordering. They said 30% is attended the question. Let's say 30 people attended it. They now said 2% out of those 30 that attempted it. Less than 2%. 2% of that 30 alone. 2% of that 30 alone is 0.6. It's not even half of a person. This is maybe just one person that even did it that is 50 and above, 1 or 2 persons. So imagine. And do you know the reason? Let's read. The candidate shortcoming were inability to understand what outline means, as majority of them wrote speeches instead of what outline. So they were supposed to write what outline. Most of them were writing speech. That's why you should be careful when reading it. And they gave what you're supposed to do for better performance. You should learn how to write the outline, even though it's not in the pack. They're telling you to learn it. So they're telling you that even those works is not in the pack, as long as it's past question, learn it. So learn it, please. Don't say it's not in the textbook, you will not read it. This is a year. I'm sure these people did not even, I'm sure that one of the reasons these people ran away from it is that they don't know it because it's not in the pack. And please, if you know it and you're opportune, please know it. Endeavor to understand what the question demands before accepting it. Make use of ICAN study pack past question. You see, before they used to just say, read your ICAN study pack. Now, they're not saying, make use of ICAN study pack past question and model answers. So that is what they're asking you to do. So that is it for that. So let's go to a practical question. So this is March 2015. March 2015, question 5. If you need to write it down, write it down. March 2015, question 5. So Mo, you read for us. Read the question 5.
You have recently been elected as the president of your trade union. Write a speech reiterating your four cardinal agenda for the union. During your campaign before the election, you had set out 4 cardinal agenda, which you intend to pursue after you would have been elected president. Now, you have been elected for a term of 2 years, and you will soon be sworn in. Prepare the acceptance speech you will deliver at the inauguration ceremony of your executive committee, stating clearly how you intend to pursue your 4-point agenda enumerated during your campaign.
Okay, so to you, what do you think you're supposed to do?
To prepare, to write out my speech that
Good.
I would say on that
Good.
day.
Exactly. So this one, you can see the difference between writing an outline and writing a speech. If a speech, they specifically tell you prepare a speech. For example, prepare the acceptance speech. So what they're telling you here is that Assume that you are the president again. Like, the former one too is outgone, but this time around you are the president. You are not going anywhere. You were just elected. So assume you are the president of your trade union now. So before you did campaign and everything, you gave them 4 cardinal agendas, the agenda you will do throughout your stay. So they're not asking you that you will soon be sworn, they've not sworn you in. So during this, but they've elected you. So during this sworn in now, they want you to give acceptance speech that you will talk to the executive committee to persuade them that you're really going to achieve this 4 cardinal agenda. That's what they are saying. So let's go to it. So let's go to the format. I want us to be working with the format as already. The format says the first one is what? Heading of the farewell. And the heading includes, what did you say? Title of the speech, name of the speaker. Title of the speech, name of the speaker. What is the title? Acceptance letter. Can you see? What is the name of the speaker? Mr. Coffee Taylor. Acceptance letter delivered by Mr. Coffee Taylor. That is the heading. Let's continue again. Occasion, venue, date. Occasion, venue, date. Occasion, venue, date. What is the occasion? It's saying that what? At the Unions, okay, this is the venue. Unions Auditorium. The date is what? March 15, 2015. So the newly elected president of the Accounting Technician Workers Union, this is the occasion, this is what is happening. They're electing you. So can you see that all those ones that we were talking about, we're not just talking it for talking sake. This heading of the farewell, it actually encompasses those heading. Acceptance speech delivered by Mr. Heading, Mr. Coffee Taylor. Mr. Coffee Taylor, the newly elected president of the Accounting Technician Workers Union at the union's auditorium on March 15, 2015. So that is the first thing. So the next thing I'm seeing here is introduction. And they said what? Can you see protocol? So protocol. So all what you are saying here is protocol. All this managing director. What's going on? So all this you are seeing here, their protocol. Managing director is talking about people that you want to talk to. You know, you are giving speech to some committee, executive committee. So these are the committees you are speaking with. He's talking this from what I can see here, from the highest to the lowest. Managing director, chairman, member of the electoral committee, the vice president-elect, other newly elected officials, representative of other union, gentlemen of the press, and ladies and gentlemen. At least if audience did not meet any of these criteria, they will meet lady and gentlemen criteria. So that is the first introduction. Why the second introduction? The second introduction talks about witty saying to catch attention and purpose of gathering. Witty saying to catch attention and purpose. So you have to give some speeches to talk about purpose. It's not necessary to talk about, it's not really compulsory to talk about that witty saying, something that is funny or joking. The main thing is make sure you put the purpose in the introduction. See the introduction now, the main purpose. I am highly delighted this evening to be with you to deliver my acceptance speech. First and foremost, you know, I told you that you will thank them, even your introduction. In the first and foremost, my profound gratitude to all and my sundry for giving me your mandate to lead the union for the term of what? 2 years. The purpose is what? To lead what? The mandate. The purpose is what? The mandate to lead the union for 2 years. That is the purpose. So now, if you go back to this, the next thing is the body. So from the body, you are going to give it, you are going to arrange every speech you want to say for each paragraph. And according to the question, it's talking about that you want to talk about the 4 cardinal points you want to say, 4 cardinal program you have. That is what you want to talk about. So it says here, you have to list the point that you want to say. It says, I wish to assure every member that the 4 card, like, it's already talking about the body already. The 4, like, if you see this speed, they're even going straight to the point. No lousy, no corner. Go straight to the point. They say, I wish to assure every member that the 4 cardinal programs promised during my electoral campaign will be sincerely pursued. Let me seize this opportunity to restate it. They're even telling us again. You know, they said that he had mentioned it during the campaign, but we that were not there, we have to know what those 4 cardinal programs are. We are not in the campaign, of course. So what are those 4 things? Number 1, to achieve an harmonized salary structure for the worker to ensure regular. It can be anything. See, there is no, your own 4 cardinal point might even be something that they did not write here. So it's not compulsory for you to, because when they give you essay in a question in an exam, it might even be a topic that you've not known before. Might be a topic you've not known before, but you have to develop something, think of something, gather your thoughts together, arrange each point you want to put per paragraph. So here you talk about the 4 points you want to achieve. Then that's the idea for solicit for the conflicting support to achieve this laudable agenda. As the popular parlance says, it is believed that a tree does not make a forest. I welcome what he's trying to say. Hope we know this. Tree does not make a forest. That just one person cannot make a forest. One person cannot make a Nigeria. You need joint ends with people. A president cannot just make a Nigeria. A president needs different people under him: the Senate president, the legislature, judiciary, and executive arm. So that's what it says. It said, I welcome your candid advice from time to time. Feel free to seek clarification from me when you're in doubt about anything. So this is a way to structure your writing. And it continues, it says, at this junction, ladies and gentlemen, it is important to explain how, see, the first statement he made, the first paragraph, he first stated the 4 words, the 4 cardinal programs, he stated it for us. The second thing is coming to say now is to talk more about how it will be achieved. If you know that question said, we should talk about the 4 cardinal and how it will be achieved. So you first stated the 4 cardinal points, ask for their support. Then it's not saying how it will achieve. Now, it says here that it's very important to explain how the 4 cardinal programs will be pursued and by the special grace of God be achieved. Let me start. It's not explaining how it will be what achieved. Let me start with the issue of harmonized salary structure of our members. This will be pursued by consulting our colleagues in other states where the harmonized salary structure had always been implemented, collect and study the table. Through the Congress, ideas regarding how we will start the discussion on it with the president will be generated. The salary structure table will be designed and forwarded to the government for consideration. I employ every member to update his or her record in his or her own department. So that is you first explain one of it. Then he came to explain another one here. The executive will ensure that our member who are due for promotion is talking about, is explaining another one. Another one is explaining, is talking about promotion. Another one again is talking about the annual performance evaluation here. Can you see? So paragraph per paragraph is only explaining each point. Another one here is the issue of operating a dependable insurance scheme. It's talking about another one here. Please read it further on your own. Now it is now said, is this supporting the cardinal point I said? Furthermore, hectares of land will be bought in the name of the union in some accessible community. Some credible bank will also be approached for negotiation to grant members building loan facility. The union cooperative societies will also be enjoined to great facility regularly to those who are eligible. So he has made, the first thing he did was, after the blah blah introduction, the body stated the four cardinal program. He stated it, he asked them for support. Then after stating it, now he was not explaining how it will be achieved paragraph by paragraph. So he used 4 paragraphs to explain how it will be achieved. That's what he did. And the last one that we saw here, is what? Conclusion. You can see part of the conclusion here. It says, appreciation for the honor done to the speaker and for those who graced the occasion. Advice to the new executive on how to move the association forward. Let's now look whether it follows this conclusion. This is the conclusion now. Conclusion say, comrade, I said, as earlier said, inflicting support is soliciting for that support again. Is solicited for. What did he say? I appeal to you all to be self-disciplined. They're talking about advice. So he gave an advice that they should be self-disciplined, diligent, forthright in the discharge of your duties. I thank everybody for listening. So at the end, you have to thank them. It is important. That's why I say appreciate the honor done to the speaker for those who grace the occasion. Thank them and advise the new executive. This is in accordance of the formal retreat. So yeah, you will advise the people you are talking to. So that is 15 marks for you. That is just it. You can see content, style. Content itself, what you are writing itself is 10 marks. The style is talking about how you presented it. Is it according to all those things we're talking about? Introduction, body, conclusion. Is that how you presented? That's what it's talking about. So let's look at the comments. I've told you guys that it's very important to look at the comments whenever you want to do a past question so that you know which one to focus on. Now it says the question test candidates understanding of speech writing. Less than what? See, they're running again. Less than 10% of the candidates. This one is even worse. That one was 30%. This one says less than 10% of the candidates attempted the question. But they said 50% of them scored 50, or they even tried. The 10% tried small. 50% of them scored 50 and above to the allotted marks. Candidates' commonest faults were: 1, inadequate knowledge of the format of the speech. Can you see? They're not asking you to write the format, but they're telling you that you should write this speech according to the format. So if you don't write this speech according to the format, you will lose your marks. Another one, poor expression. They don't know how to express. Inability to understand the demand of the question. You don't even know the essence. The question is telling you to talk about the 4 cardinal points. So people will not even touch the 4 cardinal points at all. And that is wrong. You are not meeting the requirement of that speech. So that's a candidate are advised to study the aspect of speech writing and language use for better performance in the future. So that's what it's saying. Please, on your own, go through it again. So do you have any question for me, Onyolua?
Yes, ma.
Okay, what is that?
So when we're writing the our speech,
Yes.
are we expected to like put paragraphs?
Yes, please.
Okay, and then the 4 cardinal agenda that they mentioned in here,
Yes.
are we to explain it in our speech?
Yes. Yes, see, they first listed it. The way they explain, it's not like they explain like what is like this first one, harmonized salary structure. They did not explain like what is harmonized structure? Harmonized structure is when the salary is in order. They do not explain that though. They talked about how they will implement it. That's what they did. Let's go back to the question. You will see what the question, they are doing it according to the requirement of the question. Now see the question yourself. The question says what? Present acceptance speech you will deliver at the inauguration ceremony of the executive committee, stating clearly how you intend to what? To pursue your 4-point agenda enumerated during your campaign. So that explanation they gave, that is even the main point of this speech. You have to list, we don't know the agenda, that's why we listed it. And the next is you will tell us how you are planning to achieve it. So that is the main requirement of the question. That's what it did. Planning how to achieve it. Now, one of the ways that he said here, he's talking about promotion. Let me look for the, see, this is the sentence that talk about promotion. The executive will ensure that our members who are due for promotion to the next and higher level enjoy their promotion. This is the way he wants to attend the as and when due. We will equally ensure for those who had been overdue arrears of salary for promotion are paid when they are eventually promoted. We will also ensure that the annual performance evaluation report forms are distributed to members to fill on time and head of department to complete their portion separately. So you firstly give our assurance that people that are supposed to have a title to promotion, they will get it. How did he also want to achieve it? He also talk about the annual performance evaluation report. That is what he's going to also do. If they complete it on time, then they'll be able to accelerate their promotion on time. So that is actually the requirement of the question. You are not explaining the points, you are explaining how you achieved, so how you intend to achieve those points you listed. So do you understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any other question?
Thank you, ma'am. No. No other question.